This is the story about, well, you'll find out. And I didn't know what to say, so I put my hand up and I go, I'm your son.
It was so nice. It was the nicest thing. It was the best thing she could have ever said right then. It was so simple. She just keep it, did a great job, and then walked away.
Which was terrifying to me because I was like, I don't want to go forward with going to prison.
She leans in and she goes, I ain't got no toenail.
And this big burly police dude comes over and tases my dad, and he falls to the ground. Like, and shit.
I sneezed and pooped my pants a little bit at the same time.
But foremost on her mind was, how the hell are we gonna get home?
And I still blame this gorilla for everything that happened. So like, yeah, man, I'm like 38, living the life, man. Got a trailer, got a wife, met her at the strip club.
The story that I have to tell is how I met my husband.
Alright, so it's story time. Mr. Jenkins.
This is the story about how...
The story from back when
John wants to know about a story.
Shall we tell the story?
I'm up and on 13. No, thank you. 13 is unlucky. Triskaidekaphobia is... Anybody?
Fear of the number 13.
Irrational fear of the number 13. That woman, Triskaidekaphobia. But what is rational consumer behavior? I don't think I know. Thousands of people have come through my line, just as they will yours. You will rationalize the irrational, negotiate the norm, and reckon with the consequences. But it's not just lane 13, it's every lane, in every store, in every town, in every state, in every country. Who are we becoming? I'm looking for the perfect bag. Maybe you've seen it. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you'll give it to me. I am, after all, an archivist of consumerism, a phenomenologist of neoliberal happenings, a person who just wants to understand performances of desire. You see, I'm restarting my collection. The one collection I had as a child, my bag collection. Don't look at me like that. I come by this naturally. Okay, I'll show you. This is my diary. It has a lock and a key. I like to write in it every Friday when I get my allowance. Allowance. 25 cents. Okay, that means I have 16 quarters and 17 dimes and 22 nickels and 53 pennies, so my new total is $7.33. I'm not kidding. And I got it on both sides of my family. I mean, my father's father, my granddad, never bought anything on credit. He would walk into the Chrysler dealership, cash in hand. And my mother's parents, my Grammy and Grandpa, always had a huge jar of dimes on their dresser. They never spent a dime. So it's no wonder I turned to bags as collectibles. I mean, bags are free. Bags are extra. People don't see the value in bags. And so sometimes they give them to you. I mean, I know Sacramento isn't maybe the most, exciting consumer locale, but you do have some interesting one-of-a-kind places with interesting one-of-a-kind bags. And back at home, we have a bag ordinance, which means they're not free anymore. But do you know how much they cost? They cost 10 cents. They cost dimes. And I've got my own jar of dimes. The first bag in my collection was a crisp, white, square paper bag from the Smithsonian Institution Air and Space Museum that I got on a family vacation when I was 7 and my brother was 5. I kept it because it reminded me that we had been there, the museum and outer space. My brother grew up to be an astronomer. I grew up to have a bag collection, from places I had been and from those I had yet to see. Okay, now that I've got them all laid out, I'll show you a few of the most interesting bags, and then we can rearrange them if you want to. This one I got a long time ago when I was just a little kid. It was like 7 years ago. It's from Six Flags, and as you can see, it's got a roller coaster on it, which makes it fun. It's small, kind of flimsy, made of plastic. Ooh, so it won't decompose, which is a plus and a minus, I suppose. Oh. This is from my friend Lisa Kay, and her family just got back from a family vacation in Austria and brought me this bag. It's from the Mozart Birthplace Museum. That's Mozart's music on there. And it's a really cool, nice, expensive paper. Listen. That's the sound of good paper. Now, I know this one isn't that exciting to look at. Every time I see it, though, it reminds me of being in New Orleans and eating beignets at Café du Monde. Yum. And it is sturdy, and it has good handles. It has a name on it, that's something. But this one is my favorite. It's the Grand Canyon. Printed on all 4 sides of this bag. I think it's the most beautiful bag in the collection, don't you? Okay, well, now that I've shown you, we can arrange them. Last week, I had them arranged by color, so this week we can arrange them by region. State, good idea. Okay, so you start in the north and I'll start in the south. Oh, no, okay, you have to put them in order first. They go smallest, biggest. Okay. Yeah, okay, you have to put the smallest one inside. Yeah, you're nesting them. Make sure to smooth out all the wrinkles and edges first. Careful. A couple of years ago, the National Communication Studies Association conference was in New Orleans, and I went to the Café du Monde and ate beignets. And when I got back home to San Francisco, I found in my mailbox at school a Café du Monde bag. Don't you see what that means? One of the bags from my original collection somehow made its way back to me. It was exactly the same. The bag fairy came and brought me this bag so that I would restart my collection. So I'm getting excited about the bags again. I mean, I know you went on vacation last year. I saw Facebook. You didn't bring me those bags. I'm just saying. For all of 2 months, I worked at Target. I worked in the garden department and I watered plants. That was the main thrust of my job, was watering plants and pretending like I knew anything about plants, and often giving people misinformation about where they should plant plants and what to do with them. I kind of just went along with whatever they thought. So if they said can I plant this in the shade? I'd be like, yeah, definitely, that'll work great for you. So I worked in a bookstore in West Hollywood, and before I worked there, you used to have to get your parking validated, so people would walk up to me and they would say, can you validate me? And I would look at them and I would say, you're a wonderful person and you have many friends. And the people who got it right away, they thought it was really funny. They would laugh. They'd go, ha, ha, ha. And I go, no, seriously, you don't need to validate anymore. And the people who didn't get it, they would go, what? And I would say, you don't need to have your thing validated anymore. I just thought, and they would go, oh. When I was managing Tower, when it was going out of business, we would play like really raunchy stuff. We'd already lost our jobs and we were already really mad. I'm already ornery and I swear a lot. I call it conversational swearing. So I was playing like Bill Hicks, I think, over the PA, and that is like the most raunchy stuff. And I'm saying to everyone to have a good night because I'm saying, hey, we only have 5 minutes left. In a week, we won't be here. So if you guys are waiting for shit, I can't really help you out. This is all over the loudspeaker. So come and talk to me. I'm a nice man. I can't do anything or read your fucking mind, but I would love to help you. So it's this ironic conversational swearing. And this old dude comes up to me, and he's like livid. And he's like, what's your name? I'm like, my name's Derek. Can I help you with something? Just really cordial, really nice. He's like, I think it's unbelievable how you talk. Well, you're entitled to your opinion. We've already lost our job, so if you want to get me fired, that's already happened, so I don't know what we can do. Finally, he was just like, if I were just 10 years younger, I'd fuck you up. And I was like, whoa. Whoa. Well, I'm glad you're not 10 years younger. So I work loss prevention at the Apple store here in downtown and at Barney's across the street. Never really liked my job. Never enjoyed arresting people. But, you know, at the same time, I couldn't, like, let people go, you know? So this was, I'm not sure if this was my most interesting loss prevention story, but it's definitely the one I like to tell the most. So I was working. It was about 7:30 or 8, about an hour before the store closed. I was observing this person, and he had bought a case for a laptop. He bought a $29 case. Right, yeah. So even though he'd already purchased the thing, I was still keeping an eye on him. And he was this younger white guy, like in his mid to late 20s, and he goes back to the cases. He conceals a $50 case. And then attempts to exit the store. We stop him and handcuff him, do the business, you know, take him to the back holding area. You know, he's telling me all this stuff. And I've heard every sob story. I've heard every story about why or no, please don't, you know, all that stuff. I've arrested like 450 people in my loss prevention career. It's not every day, no. Sometimes it's more than once a day. Yeah, so he's telling me all this. We're waiting for the cops. Happens about 7:30. Waiting for the cops. The store closes at 9. We're still waiting for the cops. 10 o'clock rolls around. Now, doing this, you're very cognizant of the rules and limits, and what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. And I can't hold someone forever. So I'm like, look, the cops are not coming. I can't keep you here until they arrive. I've already called them a few times. So this has never happened. I've never let anyone go. So I said, here's what we're going to do. You bought the $30 case. You stole the $50 case. We're going to have you return the $30 case and purchase the $50 case, and then we're all square. And that way, the thing that you left the store with, you would have purchased. And he was like, yeah, I'm totally cool with that. And part of the thing is, store again if you get caught for shoplifting. So I tell him, well, he goes to I uncuff him, he goes to the registry, he does the exchange, he comes back, and I say, you could never come in the store again. He's like, I'm totally cool with that. Thank you so much. This will definitely be the last time. You know, he showed a great deal of remorse. About a year later, he walks back in the store. And I see him come in. And I recognize, all of the people, that kind of confrontation is really tense when you first confront somebody like that. So you tend to remember those, right? So I see him come in, and I recognize him. And he walks right up to me, and I'm about to say, you're not allowed in the store anymore. This is a year later. And before I can say anything, he says, look, I know I'm not allowed in the store anymore, but I had to come back. I had to come and say thank you, for letting me go. He goes, things have been going really well for me. I married my girlfriend that I had here, so now I have a dual citizenship, and things are going great. And none of that would have happened if that night had turned out differently. That's pretty cool, That's really the only time I ever felt like good for something I'd done in my job. And then I was like, yeah, but you can't be here. I want an iPod. Idealistic? Maybe. Ironic? Definitely. Identical ideals play MP3s, shuffled tracks randomly assigned to endlessly repeat the programmed itinerary. Repeat me. Program me. Play me. Stop me. Repeat me. Back. Play. Stop. Back. Repeat. 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 Fast forward my life to the clip you like. Change the track to fit your mood. Stop! I have. I own, I consume, I commodify, I command, I demand, I control. So I skip to track number 4 to classify, categorize, and determine the norm. Hip hop down to the rock, pop, reggae, put on my headphones and press play. A whole range of degrees of normality, indicating membership, classification, and hierarchy. I mean identification. ID me, itemize me, idealize me, isolate me, identify me, idly know me, program my identity, pause to look at me. Can you even see me? Of course you can't. I'm inside this pod trying to fabricate an individuality. I can't figure out how to rewind. What is a genre? Does this album make my butt look big? How do I change time? Stop! I feel. I hurt. I cry. I wonder. I dream. I perform. Today I am a trashy pop remix trying to make it as a top 40 single. Tomorrow I'll dye my hair and be a rock band. I've always wanted to meet Billy Idol. Then I'll don some dreadlocks and smoke some weed. Rasta colors always did look good on me. Who are you today? And do you know the difference between an icon and an iconoclast? I mean, in the unrestrained eagerness possessed, we develop the conviction that it's possible to transform everything into objects of purchasing power and domination. The earth, property, production, time, you, me, everything is reduced to its objectified worth. Materialistic concept of existence where money is the measure of all things, where to be is to have. We don't see this monopoly as a dehumanizing privilege in the egotistic pursuit of having. We suffocate in our possessions. We no longer are, we merely have. I mean, you can change the song, shuffle your life, and reprogram your mind, but I'll always be sitting on the other side of the screen, unequalizing your voice, dictating your order, and reformatting your options, if you have any. Stop! No, listen to me. It functions like a piece of machinery according to a play of spaces, lines, screens, beams, and degrees. Precise system of command reacting to an artificial code. A whole analytical pedagogy was being formed, meticulous in detail, precocious in history. I am an iPod island, isolated, alone, scared, keeping the beat to my bank balance, iTuning my life along the right track. But my isolation is merely the tip of the iceberg, icing on the proverbial cake, if you will, because in our daily lives we pretend to desire things that we don't really want. Happiness becomes hypocritical, dreaming about things we do not really want. Let's be realistic. We, the academic left, want to appear critical while fully enjoying the privileges the system offers us. So we'll just bombard the system with impossible demands that won't be met so that we can be sure that nothing will actually change and will maintain the status quo. Because if you accuse a big corporation of particular financial crimes, you expose yourself to risks that can go even as far as murder. But if you ask the same corporation to finance a research project on the link between global capitalism and the emergence of hybrid post-colonial identities, you stand a good chance of getting hundreds of thousands of dollars. I can't classify it anymore, or any other way, because those dollars, that mean green living machine turns into iPods. I am because, I own because, I play because, I want an iPod. Boxes and boxes of new shoes, size 6.5, that none of us can squeeze our stepsister feet into now that she's gone. Leaving behind her beautiful new dresses, sundresses, cocktail dresses, sleeveless and sleek in red, white, and black. The kind you imagine with a broad-brimmed hat, seductive even in a plastic bag. Not the clothes of an 80-year-old woman who was on the heavy side. Rather, those of a woman who was shrinking back to her former size. Seeing herself as she looked in the fading pinup girl photo displayed on her dresser. At last, she had the money for the clothes she desired when there were children to feed, and a husband and house to tend. Now, she could do whatever she wanted, except most everything money can't buy. So she picked out items from catalogs that arrived at her door when everyone else was gone. All this joy was delivered and filled the house with hope. What would tomorrow bring? Perhaps a new leather coat, or the buttery leather gloves that matched, or a handsome handbag. So much nicer than blood work, surgery, chemotherapy. So what if she seldom left the apartment? She'd wear them to feed the birds from her balcony or the stray cats at the back door. She shopped and shopped and shopped, reinventing her past and refashioning a future that would outlast her. As the packages kept coming, her funeral left unplanned. She was busy, buying time. All right, so we've reached the part of the show where some of you have some special instructions. So I know I gave some of you special bags with those white slips, and some of you I didn't say that to, but there are white slips in there with instructions for something you could do at any time during the show. The ones that I handed to, those are coming up in the next scene, so you might want to take a moment, see if you have a white slip in your program, and participate as you will, and get ready. What I hate about Best Buy is when I'm standing there all by myself in my department and I'm wearing my Best Buy blue shirt that says Best Buy on there, my khakis, and I'm standing in a work position holding a camera, and I'm wearing my yellow name tag that says, "Hi, my name is Sammy, serving you since 2006. And a customer comes up to me and goes, Excuse me. Excuse me. Do you work here? So my story is about when I worked at Best Buy. I worked there for 3 weeks, and I was a customer service rep 1, which meant you rung people up. Not to be confused with a customer service rep 2, which returns things. They had CSR 1 and 2. They were really into acronyms, all that stuff. And I was working there in September, beginning of September. They would have these team meetings, like on Sunday mornings, team building. So you had to sit with your group. So I had to sit with all the customer service rep 1s. And they were gearing up for Christmas time, which is like 3 months away. And all the employees, I was new, and all the employees were like, oh, it's so exciting. It gets so crowded. There are lines everywhere and people in and out. We have to park over in the Safeway parking lot and walk over. And they were just totally stoked about the whole endeavor. And I was trying to play along, but I was really kind of weirded out because that seemed strange to me. And the leader of the customer service rep is saying how long the lines get at Christmas time. So much so that they have to kind of rope it off, like theme park style. And he's saying, oh, I think it'd be really great if we could, like, help out the community. And I think it'd be really great if we could find someone, you know, to hold a balloon for us and show people where the start of the line is. And I would really like it if we could get someone, you know, and this is his language, not mine. If we could sort of get like a retarded person in here to hold the balloon for us.
I quit!
And yeah, so if any of you guys know a person like that, do any of you guys know a person like that who could help us out with it? Well, just let me know, because that would be a really great, positive thing we could do. All right, so I've never been shopping on Black Friday, and I believe that some of you have some tips written down for me. So I'm looking for the person who has tip number 1. Who has tip number 1?
Arrive early. Half the fun is standing in line. Who cares if you miss the turkey to get the deal?
Okay, but I would like turn. Okay, I'll go early. Okay. Number 2.
Plan your route and maximize the price.
Plan your route. Okay, got it. Who has number 3?
Bring coffee or other stimulants. You'll need to get up early and stay up most of the night. Do what you gotta do.
Okay. 4. Okay, number 5? I mean 4. 4. Who is number 4?
Bring your cell phone to get the best deals. Nobody uses coupons anymore. There's an app for that.
Yes, okay, I'm going to get the apps. Okay, number 5. Who has number 5?
Don't forget your cell phone charger. Recharge en route to the next deal destination. There's not an app for a dead phone.
That's a good point. Okay. Who has number 6?
Take credit or debit card only. Cash makes you a money target.
I don't want to get mugged. Okay. How about number 7?
Bring water and snacks. You need stuff to keep you going.
Okay, bring that water bottle. Okay, got it. Number 8.
Don't forget your checklist. We all have one, even Santa. Don't get distracted. Get the deals.
Check the checklist. All right. Number 9.
Dress in layers. It will be a chilly morning, but it can get pretty hot in those big Black Friday crowds.
All right, got my layers. Okay. What about number 10?
Wear comfortable shoes. This is the primary difference between the fallen wannabes and the successful bargain shoppers. Don't be a wannabe.
Okay. Got it. Shoes. Who has number 11?
Shopping buddies are key. Don't brave the store by yourself. Bring someone to help muscle through large crowds. If possible, bring a small child dressed in a cute Christmas outfit. This is a great distraction technique and will facilitate cutting in line. If possible, teach them how to cry on demand.
Wow, you're not messing around. Okay, number 12.
Bring a stroller. While it may appear cumbersome, it will actually help you carry more items. Extra bonus feature, you can carry around a small crying child. Extra bonus feature, strollers are an excellent battery line for people or displays.
Wow, I'm trying to find your shoes. Okay. Who has number 13? Nobody has number 13? Anybody? 13?
purchase your very own superhero shopping kit. For only $59.95, you will get one invisibility cloak, size large, fits most superheroes. One pair of expandable stilts that allow you to easily step over the competition and avoid trampling. And one small super baby that cries on demand, fits in most strollers, and doesn't pee.
Okay, I guess I'm ready.
We're going to spend today at a large regional enclosed mall, one of 1,175 in the United States at last count. Which specific mall we'll be visiting doesn't really matter, since the things we'll see and the lessons we'll learn apply to all. Therefore, I won't bother naming our destination, except to say it really does exist, and it's a good one for our purposes.
Although most of us would describe our experience in as recreation, it is in fact a form of labor that is coming to be one of the dominant, compelling actions of our lives. We labor so pleasurably that we never think to resist.
So that's my Stonestown path. I hit Nordstrom's first, pick out some stuff, totally put it on hold so I can see what's at Torrid. I go check out Torrid with a quick peek at Sephora on the walk by. Then I do Torrid, and then I come back and cruise through Sephora and check out the makeup. The first cruise is just a window. You know, what does Sephora have? So, a window glance.
Because this corporate reach is so somatic, the brick and mortar of the store is essential. Store designers overtly poach in the theatrical. They create experiential environments through which the consumer comes to embody the brand as feelings, sensations, and even memories. As if we were actors in the theater, we loan the brand's character the phenomenological resources of our bodies. We play out its fictions, making them appear in 3 dimensions, as if they were real.
I mean, I love the service. I love having somebody come to my dressing room and say, "Do you need this?" That lady who we met in athletics was probably the most enthusiastic. Usually ladies in the plus size area are a little more like, I'd like to help you.
These new civic spaces and privately owned public spaces provided places for individuals to engage in conspicuous consumption, to purchase, use, and display commodities, and to actively participate in the creation of commercial and class cultures.
That's what I think of as my Stonestown shop. But I also feel like I experience a lot of sadness, like if I go into the Gap, because I can maybe wear a shirt. And if I'm feeling experimental, I'll do that because sometimes they have 16s that fit, but it's more of a digging sort of thing and trying on lots of things that don't fit. But yeah, that's my Stonestown shop.
You should be forewarned that the details of the stores I'm talking about here are enormously time-bound. By the time you are hearing this, store themes, specific displays, even whole stores have been dismantled, liquidated, or changed. It is my hope that these examples will be useful to you as a focusing lens to begin to see other examples in your own time and place.
Once in a while, I'll hit Forever 21, because they have terrible clothing, but awesome jewelry. Jewelry always fits. It's so poorly made, it really feels like what they've done is, oh wow, those are awesome. Oh my God.
It's hard to remember or imagine alternative ways of being. The corporations have turned us into affective, embodied, theatrical laborers on their own behalf. The department store was one of those new spaces of consumption. They were established in most cities in the Western world by the early 20th century. They assumed a critical role in shaping consumer culture, linking shopping with pleasure.
Well, a bad shopping trip is when I go knowing I need something specifically and I just can't find anything. It just feels like everything I'm trying on is bad. And another day, it might not have felt that way. But there are just some days I shouldn't shop.
The brand becomes a full-body costume that opens itself for us to crawl inside. Our legs stretch into the leg openings, arms into arms, head into head. We cause it to move as we move inside. As it moves, we discover that the costume skin is translucent. We can see through it to the lights of a different world.
One time we were in Sephora shopping and one of the guys was really excited to do my makeup because I was open. I was like, yeah, do whatever you want. I don't care. I mean, it's makeup. I can wash it off.
The other characteristics of such spaces, enclosed and separated from wider social spheres, centered around leisure, consuming, and stimulation, are regulated by disciplinary technologies of surveillance, gatekeeping, and crowds. These are said to be disorienting, fragmenting, and anxiety-producing.
So, one of the reasons I think that I own so much makeup specifically is because it always fits. So I've always been pretty plus size, and makeup always fits. Yeah, and so when I have a bad shopping experience, I often have walked out with $100 worth of makeup.
Such spaces are enchanted spaces. Spaces where inauthentic, alienating experiences are replaced with magical, manufactured leisure and consumption experiences. In order to make increasingly rationalized spaces and the systems through which they operate seem appealing. I wish to know how we can walk amidst these stores, navigate the branding, unable to immunize ourselves against their pleasures, but able to affirm in ourselves, and especially in the children of this culture, that this need not be all there is. This is my way of naming what threatens us and looking for a different way of seeing.
I was helping a lady because she needed help with a bra or whatever, and I expected her to be wearing the bra, so I said, "Can I see?" And she said, "Yeah, sure." And I opened up the door, and she was completely naked. We're not talking she had panties on. She was completely naked. And she was like, "Which one?" And her whole everything was like, the entire store could see her vajayjay. And she was like, "Which bra do you think would look better and which panties?" And I was like, "You can't try on the panties." And I couldn't be like, "Ma'am, your nakedness is offending people. If you could put your breasts away." So I was working at Hollister at the door, and I was working on the women's side. And on the women's side, we have these forms, mannequins with clothes on them. And this, I'd say he was no older than 10, comes and stands next to me. And I'm at the door, like folding clothes and greeting people, and he comes and stands next to me. And there's a form right there of a mannequin. And he comes and stands next to me, and he kind of looks at me, and I say, "Hey, how are you doing?" Be nice. And he doesn't say anything. And he scoots up next to this mannequin and on her tit. And I was like, "What the?" Like, "Where's your mother?" And I look around the store and I see what I think is his mother, because it's the only woman in the store who kind of looks like a mother. And I look at her and she makes eye contact with me, and she looks at me and she looks at her son, who's still latched onto this mannequin's tit, and she goes, oh, we believe in very healthy sexual learning." So the one time I became aware of my own consumerism, as a child, I would get sent to Denmark in the summertime to spend time with my Danish family. And I can't remember when I'm trying to remember when this happened. Maybe it was when I went, I can't remember when this happened exactly. But there was one time where I went to Denmark. I think I was older. I think it must have been like 16 or 17. And my grandparents live in a sort of a particular part of Copenhagen that has a nice sort of boutique-y kinds of shops on it. And this was a time when the dollar was really strong to the kroner. It was a much stronger dollar to the kroner. It was very easy to buy stuff in Denmark. And so there was one day where I went up and down the clothing shops on this street, and I probably spent, I don't know, I bought a lot of clothes. And part of it was they were just really different. It was new, it was exciting, it was just different, And part of it, I had money in my pocket to burn. I just wanted to spend. I wanted to buy cool stuff, and all of these shops had really cool stuff. And at the time, it seemed like the prices were really good. So I get back to the house where my aunt was, and she says, "Oh, well, what did you buy?" And I begin to lay out, one by one, all the things I had bought. And I became aware of my own having bought so many things. I became aware of all of the plastic bags that I had, became aware of all the clothes that I had bought. And I think I became aware because I could see from the look on her face, or the way that she was reacting, that it was a lot. Like, it wasn't just like a shirt and a sweater, it was like a lot. And even though she wasn't being demonstrably disapproving, I could tell that she was noticing how much I bought. And all of a sudden, where I hadn't been self-conscious in buying these things, all of a sudden, in showing these things, I became very self-conscious. And that was one of the first times I became aware of my own consumerism. Now, since the town had decided that everyone was to give according to his abilities, she received wages. Not much, but enough to save up for the first of the tiny china figurines in the row of 7 that had stood for so long gathering dust in the windows of the store. And she dreamed that in time she would be able to acquire them all. Dogville. Seven tiny china figurines, each one more precious and more beautiful. Each one more than what it is apart from its fellows because it is part of a collection. A part, not a part. 7 figurines, 7 parts of anything, any parts of any whole. This is what makes a collection. Click, 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 click. Collection. A whole greater than the sum of its parts. A cliche that itself is greater than the sum of its previous cliched uses because the collection, the set, the group is the idea that spawned that particular cliche in the first place so that you and I might find ourselves partial to it. Click, 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 click. Partial. A word with many definitions. A fractured word, a word with senses fanning out in different directions. A positive adjective meaning favoring. A negative adjective marking a lack. A musical term naming any one of the ascending overtones that combine to make a single audible tone. 7 harmonic partials, like 7 tiny figures, are part of any tone in the Western octave system. 7 partials give each tone its own unique halo of higher overtones, upper partials that themselves fan out into an infinity of higher and higher frequencies, passing through Dogville where only pooches can pick them up, then higher still, never resting, even though the root tone seems stable and clear to your ears and to mine. Ears that favor a firm tone and that lack the ability to hear more. Click, 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 click. A firm, stable collection of consumer products. One without lack. One with all its parts in careful order. That's what I favor. You? Do you too see the absence on your bookshelf? A bookshelf that holds an author's 6th book and her 8th. Do you create a new need for yourself every time you fill one at the store? Passion for film history, reading books about old Hollywood, collecting DVDs of Scorsese and Coppola films and so on leads you too to Hitchcock. Do Hitchcock DVDs become in time for you not simply a possible addition, but a necessary one, an unavoidable one? Do you feel that without them your grasp of film would have a huge gap, a lack? Yet, as soon as you purchase some big titles, Rear Window, Vertigo, Psycho, and a terrific book by the wonderful Robin Wood, do you have to have all the rest as well because that is the only way you know how to make sense of an artist's work? Is your collection of media, like mine, a combination of visual art exhibit, the chronological career retrospective kind, framing an artist's whole career by placing the works in relation to one another, and encyclopedia entry, cataloging through names, dates, and details, information you never try to memorize, that you never have to strain even slightly to keep in your mind, but that seems rather a part of your mind? Click, 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 click. In the span of just a few months, since just last fall, have your shelves too gone for featuring no Hitchcock titles of any kind, featuring 31 DVD cases encompassing all but 4 of his available films, 2 box sets of seasons of the TV series, and 10 books? Is this really the only way you can understand Psycho? Click, 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 click. Anytime you get within eyeballing distance of Rasputin records, you have to strain to keep in mind that you don't have space in your house for this kind of compulsive collecting, that you don't have money, despite being middle class, to pay for collections fanning out at this pace, that you despise or tell yourself you despise, allowing mega corporations like Sony to titillate you with freshly packaged media and to profit from your compulsions. Why not use the library? Why do you need to own all of these pieces of art that have been framed as consumable? Are you, along with me, still reaching for an answer to that? Click, 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 click. Do you, would we, suspect that this kind of compulsive collecting will continue nevertheless in some form? It's become its own kind of muscle memory now. A way you get juice that you cannot replace. You cultivated a high for yourself that depends on a tightly linked set of physical behaviors and psychological responses. You step into Rasputin, or whatever story you have in mind, never having to rely on any kind of physical lists, because these lists live in your mind all the time. They are a part of your mind, a series of stops that guide you around the store in precise rhythm, from Dylan to My Morning Jacket, to Radiohead to Steely Dan to XTC. Click, 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 through the long rows of cases, holding the CDs in place, looking for good prices. Click, 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 on the best of the mono recordings, the one from last year, the one with the blue cover. Click, 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 click. There are plenty of copies of two against nature, but that damn DVD audio release is impossible to find. Click, 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 click. Why is the Dirks of Stratosphere reissue not coming down in price yet? Click, 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 click. To the DVDs, Hitchcock now an impermanent stop at any media store. Impermanent stops only get added rarely, once every year or so. Hitchcock and My Morning Jacket this year. Ah, click, 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 click. Nick Hornby famously wrote about buying books he knows he won't read soon, perhaps won't read ever, simply because they're constitutive of identity for him. You and I are stable tones at the base of the overtones of these infinitely expanding consumer collections that we have now and that we may someday have. We want to own them because they are like clothes, like skin. You and I only ring true to ourselves and to one another when we hear these partials, and they live around us, all around us, a web of material safety, each one precious and beautiful. You and I may be able to change this someday, but for now, it's an image of self that resonates. You're partial to it. What's next? So I was working as a waiter at Bubba Gumps and I was putting in an order at a terminal. The table behind me, the woman gets up and starts screaming, "Oh my God, my husband's choking, my husband's choking." And I just finished a stint as a lifeguard in Florida, and I was like, I turned around and I was like, "Is it okay if I give your husband the Heimlich maneuver?" She said, yeah, go ahead. So I give this man the Heimlich maneuver, and he's choking on a piece of steak, and he spits it up and pops it on the table, and the people around start clapping and whatnot. I'm like, are you okay? Because I know I'm liable if I broke this man's ribs. And my managers come and they shove me out of the way, and I never really get a chance to follow up with this man, and so I'm just kind of like peeking over people's shoulders and looking as I walk by, and he kind of calms down, and the situation calms down, and once people start to leave, he sits down and eats the same piece of steak that he was choking on. So a friend of mine works at Trader Joe's, and there's this customer who comes in probably about once a week or so, and she has obsessive compulsive disorder, so she always comes in wearing a pair of gardening gloves, and she shops, but she doesn't let anybody touch her items that she buys. She cannot stand the idea that anybody has touched her items, so she can't even think about the fact that the people who work there actually have to handle them and put them on the shelves, because if she did, she'd completely shut down and never leave the house. But when she takes her groceries to the check stand, she can't even have that person run her items. She has to do it herself, and she does it very slowly and methodically, one by one. It's just this ritual, this routine, and it's always the same items, in the same order. So I worked in Marine World in Vallejo one summer, and I was one of the ride operators and attendance people for Medusa, which is like the big green one. And I was responsible for checking the heights initially. So I was checking this one boy's height, and he wasn't tall enough to ride. And the mom comes crying to me saying it's his birthday, and I'd be really mean if I didn't let him on. And I was like, I'm sorry, if he falls out, it's my responsibility. So they say, okay, we'll leave. And I'm checking the seat belts. I'm checking. And I see this little boy's feet, dangling from there. I'm like, I'm sorry, you're going to have to get off. And the mom comes up and goes, "You're a ride Nazi! You can't let him ride for his birthday? What kind of person are you?" So I got called a ride Nazi. And I didn't think that would ever happen. But it did. All right, so I'm coming back home after my sophomore year of college, and I've decided it's time to get rid of my collection. It's taking up a lot of space in the closet, and Mama would really like to have some of that space back. And I don't really need it anymore. The collection has gotten huge. It's 3 suitcase-sized bags, full of bags. So I take them out, and I decide to lay them all out one last time. And so I do. I start laying them out, and they quickly fill up the whole room. So I lay them in a pathway down the hallway. And then through the family room, and out the back door, and down the back steps. And my parents live in South Georgia. And they have at the back of their yard one of those huge live oak trees that I think exists in our cultural imaginations of the South. You know, the huge canopy with Spanish moss hanging down. And I laid the bags all the way to the base of that tree. And then I turned around and I walked my pack of bags. And it wasn't like I was, you know, telling each one goodbye, like, oh, I'm going to miss you. But I was taking a moment with each one. And I tried to remember when and how I got it and who gave it to me. And all the stories they contained. And all the places I had been. And all the places I had not been but had been in my mind. And I got back to my bedroom and I walked the path one more time, this time packing them back up, re-nesting them. And I walked through the hallway and through the family room and out the back door and down the back steps and through the backyard to the base of that tree. And I'm standing there holding 3 suitcase-sized bags full of bags. Full of bags. Full of nothing. And I take them past the tree to the alley. And I leave them with the other bags of garbage. Except for this one. Kept this one. It's not really a bag so much anymore. The shell of a bag. But it's sufficient to hold the stories. See, I'm looking for the perfect story. Maybe you've heard one tonight. Maybe you'll tell one to Nick later. I am, after all, an archivist. So you're open on 13. I'm open. I'm open. I'm open, but only in 30-second increments. 30 seconds or less. You have to be fast. All the cashiers in the green. No time for chatting. No time for browsing. No time for gossiping. No time for dilly-dallying. No time for anything. Scan the items. Window cleaner. Baby onesie. Greeting card. Milky Way Midnights. Tampons. Drano. Duct tape. Bag the items in the platinum. Reusable shopping bags. Make sure to separate the Drano from the Milky Ways. Mustn't mix our poisons. Waxing poetic again. 38.6 seconds. You're dragging down our average. No time for chatting. No time for browsing. No time for gossiping. No time for anything beyond the script. The script. Hello. How are you? I'm fine, thanks. That'll be $53.27. Would you like to apply for our special deluxe credit card? Thank you. Have a good day. The script. Stealing away my time. Hello. How are you? I'm fine, thanks. That'll be $42.12. Would you like to apply for a little piece of plastic that will save you 10% of your soul? 42.6 seconds. Unacceptable. I'm back to counting the seconds. How many 30 seconds left until closing? Closing. I'm closing tonight. The floor is a mess. The pigs, the filthy pigs, the disgusting rubbish that rummage the store, rooting and routing the rubbish, manhandling the merchandise, grabbing the groceries, stealing the staples, pruning the products, the filthy pigs, the pigs. People. The customers. The guests. The script. Hello. I'm fine, thanks. That'll be $22.13. Thank you. Have a good day. Hello. I'm fine, thanks. That'll be $57.12. Thank you. Have a good day. Hello. Fine. Thanks. Good. Hello. I'm open on 13.